All right, good day wherever you find yourself in the globe. This Kingdom Economic Forum. It could be morning, afternoon, evening, night. We want to appreciate you for the feedbacks and the comments. We are so excited about them. Thank you very much. Over the last 3-4 weeks, we've been looking at the kingdom, the actual kingdom economics. And we are talking about the fact that there's the need for us to have new operating system, which is called Exploring Kingdom Economics. And we've told you that we're going to spend a lot of time. It's more of informative and education, and sometimes we're going to challenge what we have come to believe. And those academia and those experts, if you hear us, we are trying to question certain things that we have come to propound theories around, so that we look at how we can modernize and come up with tools that will help us to develop our dear nation. My name is Berima Champon Sapon II, and with me in the studio is Dr. Joshua Pon Safo. Doc, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
This program is in partnership, Kingdom Economic Forum, in partnership with the New African Concept. Maybe, Doc, before we come there, how is the celebration?
Yes.
The 5-year.
The 5-year.
Of New African Concept.
Yes.
Where we maybe communicate.
Yes. So thank you very much, Nana, and then we are all warmly welcome once again. So far so good. God has been good. Then setting of this year so far, within the first quarter of the year, we've been able to have the media launch, which we opened up with that session, and then also we had a book launch with a couple of books on the subject of leadership and vision. And then also
maybe you can mention the title of the books, and then where people can.
So 2 books that were launched. We had the Leadership Unleashed. Leadership Unleashed. I wrote it in partnership with my boss as Apostle Kingsley. So Leadership Unleashed, throwing a huge light on leadership, critiquing the traditional leadership approaches, and then what we believe ought to be. And then the second one is on Goshen as well. So these are the 2 books that we've been able to release, which we launched, and then you can reach out to myself, and then you can get some copies as well. And then on the 6th of March, we had the Independence Lecture, a very powerful session. I think what was presented, we've even started discussing here some time ago. It was on the state-nation gap. So we took it to the next level, and then we had discussions on it. And currently I'm writing an academic paper on it as well for publication. I'm sure by May everybody should publish it.
That's good.
So far these have been, and we've been to a number of secondary schools and then tertiary schools to have some propagation. Our next major program is going to be on the 27th of June. That's going to be the SHS and JHS Leaders Conference.
Okay.
We're having it at ICGC Zoe Temple at Tema. So we are hoping to host about 2,000 of them.
Wow.
To have a powerful session, and many others in the course of the year. So stay tuned, and then so far so good.
So far so good. Those of you maybe you haven't had opportunity to get the books that he has mentioned, I've read the books. Very encouraging and very powerful book. A lot of principles that can help you. So I want to add my voice. The books are being shown on the screen, so take care of that and then get a copy. For the past 3 weeks, like I did mention, we are looking at the new operating system. There's a need for the whole world. The method we have used has brought us what we see, and the question is, are we satisfied? And the answer is obvious, no. And the other question is that all that we can do? And the answer is no. The one who created us gave us a blueprint. Unfortunately, we have put the manual out there aside, and we are using our own method. And our own good friend Einstein has told us that we cannot solve our problem at the same level that created the problem. So we need another method. We need a higher and better level of understanding or method to be able to solve the problem you are faced with. If you are not careful, you might think that some of the things, the economic theories that we are practicing came from heaven. If you are not careful, because that's all that you have come to meet. Those of you who did economics, the economic theories here and there, if you are not careful, the way when you on radio you are forcing us to come to believe those methods. You have made us to, if you are not careful, you will be told, no, it's like as if it's coming from a very source that has no limitations. Yeah. And that is what, in Kingdom Economic Forum, we are trying to question some of the economic theories that we have come to believe, some of the political theories we've come to believe. And last week was what we discussed about capitalism and socialism. And we, the conclusion was that we don't have purely capitalized country and we don't have purely socialist country. It's a blend, but just that when you do the blending, we have some percentage that seems to be capitalist and a percentage. But in all the discussion, the conclusion was that it's the human being. The problem is the human being behind the capitalist, the human being behind the socialist. And we found in the discussion, the interesting thing was that when you have the wrong human being and you give all the powers to under socialists, then it's very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
It makes socialists very dangerous. Yeah. When you have a wrong person behind socialists, it's a very dangerous form of government. But then all of them have their strength and their weakness. And then concluding, we said that today we are going to look at something. In fact, I'm enjoying. We haven't started, but today's discussion is very
advance.
I'm enjoying it in advance. No, because I want you to invite a friend. If you are not able to listen to us live, please go back and listen, because we are going to shake certain foundations, which is core to whatever we are experiencing in our country, across the globe, all that we experience. And the question is, the metrics of misery, why GDP doesn't measure life. Those of you who don't know what GDP is, we will explain. Today, we want to let you know who actually introduced GDP. GDP is gross domestic product. We will explain this to the layman's level. We need to understand today, under this topic, why GDP doesn't measure life. We want to know who introduced GDP. What are the who introduced and what it measures, and why it doesn't, what it doesn't measure. And then next week we will look at 5 pitfalls, major pitfalls of GDP. And then the following week we will try and look at what are the alternates. And we want to take time to get you through some of these things so that we understand. We are doing a diagnostic. Yeah. Before we introduce the new operating system, we are still doing diagnostics. So, once again, welcome.
Thank you very, very
much. To
much.
Today's episode. Before I bring you in, let me share a story so that it helps. The metrics trap, why GDP doesn't measure life. This is a story. There's a story told about a factory manager who noticed that productivity was low. So what he did was that he installed new lights and productivity improved. As soon as he installed new lights, productivity improved. He was encouraged about this innovation. As a typical human being, he then moved on to install a brighter light. And productivity also increased further. He kept increasing the brightness until productivity finally plateaued, came to a standstill. He was so puzzled and he called in consultants. As usual, when we have problems, we have to call for consultant. When the consultant came, they discovered that the workers were simply working harder because they thought someone was paying attention. So all this that the business owner or the manager thought that the light was the what was creating the productivity.
Yeah.
The consultant said that the reason why productivity, the workers were working hard, was that all this while they thought someone was paying attention. So the light themselves made no difference. And the light made no difference. But what made the difference was that the workers thought that somebody was paying attention. This is the what it is called the tone effect.
The whole tone effect.
Whole tone effect. The tendency of people to change their behavior when they know they are being watched. The whole tone effect. When people realize that they are being watched, then you see they change their behavior. It reveals something profound about measurement. What gets measured gets managed. And what gets managed gets done. So in everything we do, in all life, all levels of productivity, all levels of all spheres, we have a measuring rod. And the principle is that what gets measured gets managed. And what gets managed gets done. This principle works for good and for ill. If we measure the right things, we will manage for the right outcomes. If we measure the wrong things, we will manage for the wrong outcomes. And we will do so with great efficiency, producing more and more of what we don't actually want. Let me maybe repeat it. The principle is simple. I'm saying that issue of what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets done. The principle is simple. It works for both good and bad. If we measure the right things, we will manage for the right outcomes. If we measure the wrong things, we will manage for the wrong outcomes. And the fact is that we will do so with great efficiency when it comes to measurement, producing more and more of what we don't actually want if we are measuring the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
So the problem in this introduction, Doc, is what is the indices? What is the measuring rod? If the measuring rod is wrong, we will manage wrong stuff and get wrong outcomes. And that is why the question about GDP, gross domestic product. Doc, what animal is this? Is this thing? Maybe explain for those who are not economists, layman, because that's what the politicians are using to IMF, World Bank. This is what they are using. The whole world they are using to measure us. What is that? Tell us.
Yes. Okay. So once again, thank you very, very much. And just like you gave in the introduction, so at least the lesson here is that what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets done. Because it has that psychological effect.
That's a point.
Because we normally tend to do what is inspected much more than what is expected.
Sure.
Because once the awareness there that this thing is going to be inspected. And so I think that the idea of the light, though he did not know, but the light was bringing to the people's mind, the workers' mind, that there is an observation, that someone is having an attention to what we are doing. Yeah, so I'll start off with a simple analogy or story, which it was in the military. And what happened was that we call it the concrete slab. It is a story that says that from time to time, so like, let's say a military base where we've been changing the officers from time to time. So one officer comes in and then realizes that there was a problem, a little gutter, something like a dark hole. So their solution was that they created a concrete slab to cover it up. And then it was placed. So every morning, as part of the training, every morning they had to pick that concrete slab and then put it there. In the evening, they would remove it in that sense. And it continued all through. So the officer had been transferred, he's dead and gone. Other officers came. Now, when they came, instead of asking what led to the why of that, they continued it as a practice. So now advancement has gone. There was no hole again. Everything has been sealed. But that spot has been left. And then every morning, so it became over 100 years a practice. So, and it continued, which means that what this is teaching us is that a problem could bring about a particular kind of solution. Which would be contextually relevant at that time. But it is the duty of generations later to critique, not just to adopt the practice, but to critique what led to
that method,
the institution of this particular practice or principle. That is number one. And then how relevant is it in our context? So that it does not become an institutionalized thing. And almost everywhere, from religion to politics to economy to everywhere, there are concrete slabs, which means there are several practices, beliefs, and systems
that are not relevant.
That it has outlived its relevance. The purpose for which it was set was meant to be temporal, to meet a pressing need at that time.
But we have made it permanent.
But it has been made permanent. It has carried over.
Some have PhD on in the same issue.
Consultants have
developed.
Prophets have developed around
the survey.
Professors. So you're a professor of something that has outlived its relevance.
Wow.
So serious.
This is serious. This is Kingdom Economic Forum. We are trying to, don't take us out of context. We are trying to, we've told you, if go and watch our various videos, anytime you are solving a problem, we want to go to the root cause. And that is exactly what we are doing. When I did my, with this small economics, not too details, but you hear GDP. But when they were teaching me GDP, they never told me the reason, the history behind it. Why it was introduced. For me to even to ask relevant questions. I don't know about you, maybe you've been the best economist, but do you know who introduced GDP? And if even you know, were you able to know the reasons? Sometimes the history, you'll be taught the history just to pass exams.
Pass an exam.
Yes. And then they will ask you which year, but you don't look at the relevance relevance of it. Yes. And that is what we want to do. So coming back, having given us this serious, what's the name you give to
the concrete slab?
The concrete slab.
The concrete slab.
Slab.
Yeah, so a slab that has been used. Yes.
Okay. Maybe let's. Before then, what is gross domestic product, GDP?
Yeah, so there's a technical way, but for the purpose of
this, we are not going technical. Yes.
So GDP, as the name suggests, that's gross domestic product. So generally, what it does is to measure in summary, the economic transactions of a community.
The economic transactions. Let's keep underline the words that he's bringing up. The economic transactions.
Yeah, so when you open up the economic transaction, it means the buying and selling, the production and consumption. So these are the underpinnings of the economic transactions.
Okay.
So it means that when we're talking of buying and selling, producing and consuming, then it means that it hovers around monetary elements.
So GDP measures the monetary
transactions. That is the economic transactions.
Okay.
So it is a give and take affair. You produce, I bring money, I take the product. Either it is a product or a service that you are bringing, and then it's exchange for my economic, or shall I say my money.
Wow.
So the transactions that goes on within a country, within a particular period, that hovers around production and consumption, that hovers around buying and selling. It is then constituted and then forms the gross domestic product.
Wow. So, why this metric, our master metric? Let me use that because that's what it's been.
Yes, for now, it is our standard metric when it comes to economic
indicators.
Yes, at the global level. Yes, and just like you said at the introduction, there are many things we do now that sometimes we think
it came from heaven.
It came from heaven.
Yeah.
Or it was instituted from since the days of Adam.
But it's not true.
But when you go about maybe 200 years back, or even 100 years back,
it wasn't there.
Yes, you would not find some of these things as canons of measurement.
That's a point.
Yeah, so basically will form the base of research. What we have now,
invention of GDP.
Yes, is the fact that we know that America had what we call the Great Depression, which is a bit of a common narrative
in 1930s.
Yes, in the 1930s, where there was an economic sinking. Yes, because the First World War, 1914 to 18, the post First World War brought about a lot of issues, of which, because every war has serious financial implications. So most countries were now resolving themselves or recouping themselves out of the issues of the war. So America was not left out. So in the 1930s, America was plunged in a very huge financial crisis called
unemployment,
the Great Depression. Yes, which had all kinds of things you can think about, with unemployment, poverty, several elements. So
starvation,
various.
So if you are listening to us, America that you see today, they've gone through stuff.
Exactly.
No, they didn't come from heaven. They've gone through stuff. So listen.
Which tells us that we can do better.
Overcome. No challenge.
And this one is just
1930s, less than 100 years.
1930. So it means that we less than 100 years. So it was broken down, even including Germany, especially for Germany, especially even after the Second World War, because of Adolf Hitler. Everything was bent down, but they've been able to also rebuild. So several elements that drove hugely the economy of America deep down. It was sinking. And as we said at the beginning, measurement helps with management, and then it gets work done.
That's a point.
So we want to commit ourselves to doing something, but though we can see that there is poverty, what is the extent of the poverty? We can see that there is unemployment. How do we assess them to help us in proper management and then drive the leadership in getting things done?
That's it.
So on these grounds, it became necessary to set up a metric,
a tool
to
Listen,
be able
GDP
to
is a tool
to be able to assess our income as a nation, that is in that context as US, what they are pulling in, and then no effective disbursement of that income. It was on these grounds that they procured the services of an economist called Simon Kuznets. Yes, and then and then more or less a committee, that's the National Bureau. They came together.
National Bureau of Economic Research.
Yes, of Economic Research. So they came together to explore that question on their hands. The end result was what I think they published a material on it. That is the national income, 1929 to 1932. So they did more or less like a case study using 1929 to 1932. And then they used their metric that they developed to see how much was coming in and then how much could be effectively disbursed.
Good.
And this was, so their publication was the national income, 1929 to 1932.
Sure.
So what they brought out was the gross national income, which would be said as maybe the grandfather of what we have today as the gross domestic product. So the gross national income was then proposed, and it helped them a lot. They were very happy. At least it helped them to do a lot of things, the calculations, the assessment, the predictions, that okay, if we are getting this X amount over a period, then we can predict that in 5 years time we can have this amount. So we can start doing this project because by 5 years time we can clear. So this was the first time a standardized form of measurement, especially at the national level, of pooling corporate resources together, became known. And it was readily welcome. It was readily welcome. Now, a very important element is that when, as part of the publication that they presented, they gave a caveat that, or more or less a warning. Which is very important. And I think that it was a good job that they did. Though that warning unfortunately fell on their deaf ears. But at least they communicate. They communicated. And maybe we can read that aspect. So he said that the welfare of a nation can scarcely be inferred from a measurement of national income.
Wow.
So powerful.
So powerful.
As if it
was a prophecy.
Yes, these were prophetic writings of the man.
The welfare of a nation can scarcely be inferred from a measurement of national income. Very prophetic.
Very, very, very prophetic. Yes. So here, all what he's saying is that though you have employed me to undertake a particular project, to develop a metric or a tool, which is helpful. So now the focus is not, or the discussion is not saying that this metric is irrelevant, but rather it is incomplete. That is very important because what he developed or they developed was good, and then it was able to help, because after a while America got out of that Great Depression and became one of the, or arguably the best of financially strong nation. So we read it again. He said that the welfare of a nation can hardly or scarcely be inferred from a measurement of national income.
And in your presentation, the issue of measurement as far as the national income has to do with what was being produced, who was earning what, and what different sectors were performing. So that was what the measurement was all about. And they are giving a caveat. There's a caution.
A caution.
It's more like when God in the Garden of Eden told Adam, the day you eat this, there's a caution.
You shall surely die.
You surely die. So in every good report, in every good method, there should be a caution. Condition within which the method can work perfectly must be stated. Go on.
So basically, that was what gravitated towards what we have as the GDP. So the caution he gave, unfortunately, has not been attended to. So the summary of the caution is that we do not measure the wealth of a nation or the welfare of a nation primarily by merely assessing the income. So the income, good as it may be, should be a part of a bigger picture or a bigger metric that really assesses. But all these things were literally not attended to. And because it started helping America, it was adopted along the line. And then today, from all the Bretton Woods institutions, IMF, World Bank, And then even
African development. Oh,
for today,
everyone.
The rise and fall of every economic discussion will ultimately rest on GDP. And the end result is that because GDP is focusing on the monetary or the financial transactions, it does not, or it is blind to a lot of very vital elements, which I'm sure maybe next week we'll be exploring most of those blind sides. Yeah, so basically these were and then we then came to the Second World War.
Yeah.
The Second World War afterwards, which around 1940, 1945, thereabout. So after the Second World War, as we already said, wars bring about huge financial implications.
Sure.
So after the Second World War, there were, especially in Europe and most of the parts of the world, also had various issues. And then this formula that was adopted then became a standardized element where now people or countries, and then even at the United Nations level, this became the tool of assessment. And it has run through for about 70 years or so till now. And now everything hovers around the GDP. That is the gross domestic product, hovering around production, consumption, buying, and selling.
If you are watching us, we are looking at GDP, the measurement that we've been using as one of our major economic tool, and we are trying to give you a history. It's a tool that was developed by one Simon Kuznets. Yeah. And we have given you why. The reason was that during the period there was a need for the American government after the First World War to know how the economies they wanted to measure. In the nutshell, they wanted to measure. So this consultant came up with the tool. And the GDP, he gave a caveat. The condition precedent to make this one work perfectly. He says, and he told us that the welfare of a nation can scarcely be inferred from a measurement of national income. So he told us the limits of GDP. And unfortunately, after the Second World War, this has become the warning that the committee, the consultant gave us. We have forgotten the warning. We have come out with a lot of economic experts, economists, professors, emeritus. Oh, we've learned consultant, brilliant intelligence here and there. They have done so much. But the question is, what about the warning that was given to us? What have we done with the warning? Hey, a country, we mentioned this country, GDP is this, but the people in there, they don't have, you don't see it in the lives of the people. Yeah. And that is why it has become necessary for us to look at. But before so today we are looking at the history, the rationale behind GDP. That's what we've tried to discuss. Is there any other thing for us to look at still within the history of this GDP stuff? Maybe the question is, what GDP actually measures? Is that what we want to look at?
Yes.
What GDP actually measures? So,
yes, so just like we started saying, literally what GDP measures,
one thing that it measures
is one thing, and it is focusing on the monetary transactions,
economic transactions,
nothing more.
GDP measures one thing, and one thing only economic transaction, total monetary value of final goods and services produced within a country borders in a specific time period. That is what GDP measures.
So you could see that, though we will explore this in details in the next episode, but you could see that it does not measure the quality of life of the people.
Of the people.
It does not measure the quality of their virtues, which we've established over and over again, that
A nation.
these values are the foundational
Foundation.
stones that bet or that runs a nation. You see, all these things, it does not measure.
It doesn't measure.
It measures these transactions. And the monetary transactions, it does not pick the extent that maybe these ones are good or these ones are bad, so that we can say that
With the Sikabia Iska.
Sikabia Iska.
Wow.
So these are the limitations
Of GDP.
of GDP. And some way, somehow, it has become the gold standard all across. So because that becomes the predominant discussion,
Wow.
a government, if you don't have a broader perspective as we are sharing, your obsession will be to heighten or increase your GDP, at all costs.
And listen to us. This is the major problem in the world.
Yeah.
Because we have mentioned that what gets measured
Gets
is managed. And what is
gets
managed
gets done.
gets done. So the problem in the world is about these two. The two measures economic transactions. So what cannot be measured economically is not measured. Wow. And listen to us. And that is why you cannot not listen to Kingdom Economic. This is the only place we'll be able to open you up to understand the root cause of all our challenges, the challenges we have faced. And in the next episode, we're going to let you know, give you typical reasons, concrete
Examples.
that will make us begin to think again. Trust me. We are saying that GDP measures only one thing, and one thing only. Economic transaction. And that is the total monetary value of the final goods and services produced within a country's borders in a specific time period. So if you are taking Ghana, all the goods and services produced within our boundary is what, within a specific period, if it's 1 year, is what we are talking about GDP. So we say, oh, the debt to GDP is this. Oh, Ghana is growing.
Ghana is growing.
Now, just this week, I think IMF is telling us exchange our growth, and the politicians are happy.
Yes.
And this growth is not reflecting, and that's why you are here so that you. And this one has affected families. It has affected individuals. So don't miss out in our next discussions that we are trying to. We've told you what GDP actually measures, and the summary is that it measures economic transaction. So maybe
yes. So we can, as way of wrapping up, I think we wanted to touch on what we call the perverse incentives.
Yes. Maybe we can capture it next week under the 5 pillars, the blind spots.
Good.
We can get them from there.
Good.
It will help us to capture more examples on that. So we want to conclude by saying that we are saying GDP measures economic transactions. That is, it is an adding up of everything that is bought and sold. A car sold added to GDP. A doctor's visit, it adds to GDP. A haircut is part of GDP. Listen, a new prison, somebody we are sending to prison, is added to GDP. A lawyer, a divorce lawyer's fee is added. But there are certain things, even the cleanup after an oil spill is added. The war, when they are fighting, if they are spending more money in the war, it's added to GDP because we are talking. This is serious. Anything that does not involve a monetary transaction is invincible at GDP. Listen, and that is why it's important we go through. Anything that does not involve a monetary transaction is invincible to GDP. GDP doesn't capture things that does not have monetary transaction, and that is why next week, if you are listening to us, we're going to look at 5 fatal blind spots of GDP, things that GDP does not factor, which are not minor. They are not minor things. They are major, major things that we have not addressed our minds to, because somebody has given us wrong, or it might not be wrong, but limited metrics.
Yeah.
And we have all agreed to. We have econometrics. We have studied so much trying to look at the. Listen to me. This is Kingdom Economic Forum. We came your way to let you know the need for us to measure. In fact, it's important to measure.
Yes.
Measurement is critical, because if you don't measure things, it will not get done. We haven't come to discredit GDP. No, we have come to let you know why it was invented. What problem was it going to solve? And the question we are asking, is it still relevant? Is it the finality? Is it the tool that we have to be using in 21st century to measure our progress? When the measuring rod is wrong, it doesn't matter the product you are churning out.
Yes.
It will not give you the best that you are expecting. When the measuring rod is wrong, it means that we will be managing wrong stuff.
The wrong things.
Wrong things.
And we'll be pumping time, energy, money, resources
to that. Join us next week as we go to second part of this GDP story. We have given you the history. We have given you the why. Let's move on to the pitfalls, the blind spots of GDP, and then we develop from there. Thank you for coming our way. Still wait for us, the Kingdom Driven series, the 50 books.
Excellent.
That will be releasing. We will be releasing in this year. Wait for us.
Kingdom Driven series.
The Kingdom Driven series. You will love it. You love it. Until we come your way next week, this has been Kingdom Economic Forum in partnership with the New African Concept. Bye-bye.